should probably start.
Yes? Oh, okay. Oops. Yeah. Okay, so time to start. Hi, everyone. I'm Kiêt. I'm a lead project manager for Skills, and with Julien, who is technical project manager for the same company. So, hello, welcome. Come in. We'll introduce you with our organization and, well, make it as case studies for global, like basic management process. And so, oops, sorry. Like I said, introduction, we'll take Skills as an example of organization and, well, describe you how we are working and how we want to work, at least. So, organization, we're basically around 50 of us spread around the world. That would be in France, Ukraine, Russia, Latam. You'll probably see some of us wearing, a t-shirt with Skid Never Sleeps right on the back. So that's why, because, when a team, you've got a team spread around the world like this, when the Latam are going to sleep, we've got the Russian that are getting up, so we never sleep. Our organization, as I said, spread around the world. We've got 20 executive, managers in Paris. There's only managers in Paris. It means the executive, business strategy, administrative, of course, and project management. All the other crew of Skills are spread around the world. That would be developers, QA managers, QA engineers. Sorry. So in Ukraine, Russia, Mexico, and so on. Well, I'm not entering the detail. And that would be like creating teams, but teams, we're not getting teams of Ukrainians or teams or Latino. That would be a team with crew members of Latino, Ukrainian, or Russian into the same team. That's remote work. Like I said, project management is in Paris, but all the teams are spread around the world, and so distributed team. So basically, it means that management efforts, a management system that is quite different. That when you are in a team at the same place, and well, you can communicate quite easily around the world. Not around the world, excuse me. So in place. So we'll describe you right now how we are working with such constraints. It means, I forgot what I wanted to say. Okay, let's do it again. Remote, distributed, already said. Industrialization, okay, that's the philosophy part, sorry. Philosophy part, it's our strategy. About the strategy, it's industrialization of development. What does it mean? It means that, IT services companies are often selling developers as a resource because, there's development in their head that is much more service to the client than the means to produce the tools. So we have got the opposite philosophy that we are selling code, we are selling time to code, and seeing a product and not mere resources, mere developers and services around this. It's that's the first rule that we got in our strategy. So the second is our open source strategy. We are an open source company, so that means using open source, contributing, and that's why, for example, that we are quite ranked on the contribution, Drupal core contribution around the world, so in the top 10, 8th in the world and first in France. So first part, like I said, well, open source, Drupal contribution, and sorry, that's not my part.
So, the tutorial of images. In Skilled, we believe that standard code is the best practice, and the main issue we face with our client most of the time is that they have images of what they designed and a few words about their functionalities, in best of case a PSD, and they believe it's how it should work, but actually it's not how it should work, it's how they wish it work. And we have to grow in the common knowledge of all the community resources, like the modules, of course, but everything, all the tools already that we can already use, because it's, from our point of view, it's the functional which should be scaled on the technical possibilities and not expanding the functionality to crazy technical wish from the client. And, in another end, by using standard code, we will always have better maintainability, scalability, multiple use for different projects for the same module, and extension opportunities, of course.
And just for the record, that was in one slide, a summary, a sum up of the session I had last year. So you can have much more detail if you got the slides of it last year.
So we have a shared universe, and as the open source contribution philosophy, we can run the code for any purpose. Most of the time, the purpose is the client's need for a specific project. And so we study how the modules work with comparing them. Most likely, for main functionalities in Drupal, there is a few different modules that basically do about the same thing, but we have to compare them to decide which one is the best for our needs and which one is the best for the scalability and for the expansion opportunities. And so, through the research, the skills of our team, the whole team, grows, and we also learn from comparing the code of the modules. Of course, the skills and the expansion of the modules not only on functionalities of the modules, but also on performances and security. When one of the developers of our team will check a module, they will have also suggestions about performances and security issues that can appear in it. And so we redistribute a modified version in two ways. One way to the client, and one way to the community with contribution. In the end, we can see that the Drupal community is an extension of the skilled teams. And it's also worldwide and remote, like our own teams. And functionalities redistributed to the Drupal communities are finally funded by the client.
Oops. Sorry.
So we will more detail the industrialization part.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So, other than the manual, the importance of technical conception for a successful project, it's that our project should be thought before coded. We shouldn't go head over heels on the code as soon as we receive the functionalities from the client, because it will not give us the opportunity to plan the conception, to check the existing modules, and to do all the work I told before. And in another end, our work at Skilled is processed and standardized, because we believe that any developer with a basic knowledge of Drupal can read the manual and code the functionalities that we want. And it's a real tool, it's not guidelines, and it's a real tool for the whole team, not only developers. It's also a tool for the QA, for us PM, and even the client sometimes, because as they often have an idea of their functionality, we can discuss with them about the reality of the technical side. So this is an example of Drupal-oriented specification templates. On the left side, it's what you will find in our wiki. And so we will write everything that should appear in the project. As I said, then the developer, anyone, can create this field with only the instruction.
Yeah, you know, that's like we made these templates like reading the configuration page, because the main part of this would be anyone, even not a developer, that could be a project manager, even QA could fill this form, and then that's the first part, the first step on creating a Drupal project, because the Drupal structure, that's all, you know, some clicks in the back office. And that's why that was important to get this well, you got it. So that was the first question in the slide. We are working like in factory, let's like the industry, but we also got, you know, parts of the agile movements that is in the main development industry. But you know that we said earlier that we were industrializing the method, the tools, and that's completely the opposite of the first, in this one. Human over process. We thought earlier, okay, we've got a lot of process, so that's why it works. That's not really true. What we were saying just earlier is that some part, the standard part, has been industrialized, because, you know, if we are taking our developers to do a job that a mere robot could do, well, that's kind of waste, because, well, the developers have more to add as value in our process. So if we've got the standard code that could be removed quite quickly in the project lifetime, that would allow us to take all the developer skills and for focusing on more important and complex functionalities. And that's where we were starting to use Agile method. Just clarification, because I know that there's a lot of confusion about Agile, because when we are talking about agility, most of us are thinking immediately about Scrum. But Scrum is not the agility, it's not the agile software development. The agile software development is only a philosophy. That's these 4 points. There's more details into it, but globally, that's its 4 points. And this is what helps to create new methods that would be agile. But Scrum, for example, is only one method that is existing in the agile software development philosophy. And this confusion often leads, and that would be also for the clients, often leads to misunderstanding, because there's tool used in the Scrum that is not really used in all methods. And for example, the project owner concept is something that is more for the Scrum method. And well, that's not really a project management oriented method. So if we've got project manager in the team, Scrum would not really work. There's a lot of methods, other methods that could work as agile, but Scrum is not. Scrum, that's developers team, more technical team oriented method. So as the same, there's dozens of existing methods like extreme programming, rapid application development. That's the most, I think, known of them. But if we don't find any method, existing method, that is working for our case, as soon as these 4 points get an answer in your method, it's agile. You don't need to make a name on it. And so that's how we skills are working. We cannot make a name, we cannot put a name on our method, still agile, but not known. That's ours. We built it because we needed one that would be both in both time, at the same time, development oriented for the developers team and also for the client, because the client don't understand what we are doing. So we need to help them, but we need to still stay agile and to get this project management part not neglect. So that was a clarification about agile. So agility, we've got, as I said, different tools that would be taken by all methods existing. For example, the project backlog, sprint planning, the roadmap. That's something you would it would occur in Scrum, for example. We are using it, but we've got project manager, not a product owner. That's completely different, because the project manager is in relationship with clients for the business strategy and not only for the product as it. I forgot one. I think I forgot one. For example, I don't remember if it was the extreme programming or the rapid application development, but we've got also war room SWAT teams that are often used in our process. And it's like a team of the best that we can get, and isolated, completely focused on a single matter, and that's where we are the most how to say that, linked. You know that when you are working remotely and on different time zones, the most difficult part is probably that we are giving instruction to a developer that will, for example, for the Latino American. For the American, they begin their day for us in the afternoon when they wake up, and then there are half of the day where we are not here to help them to answer to their question. But in the SWAT team organization, we all are here in the same time. Obviously not at the same place, but at the same time, and continuously communicating with each other, and that's a great deal in the project management. So that's quite all. We have been like more. I've been faster, even faster, too fast on this presentation. That's like 15 minutes of question. So if you've got questions, because I think most of this presentation has been too quick, so let's discuss. No one? Yes?
So you guys are working with...
Tu peux peut-être lui amener... Sorry.
So, okay, you guys are working with the distributed teams, and how? My question is how you handle the time difference within your team, and if the time difference is any sort of problem for your team.
So the time difference is indeed an issue sometimes, but as we explained before, with good detailed specification and good detailed tasks, all the teams know precisely what they have to do, and there is always a time frame, where there is a PM present, so they have the opportunity to ask everything they need to know to complete what is written before on for their tasks. So sometimes there is issues with this because one developer will be blocked, but it's really not the rule.
No, it's matter of time distribution organization. We always got a period when both of us, PM and developers, will be at the same time and can communicate, and the remaining would be for the standard, where we have very detailed specification, where they will not need us as soon as we specified it correctly, of course, and that's how we work. The most difficult part is when we've got Siberians, for example, and Mexicans in the same team. They never have enough time to discuss because, well, when the Russians are going to sleep,
but in this case, in the case of projects, we nearly never work with Latams and Russians only. So we always have two parts of the team with a shared time frame.
And that's for the resources planning. Make sure that, yeah.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. And my question is about the communication challenges. As far as I know, Skilled is a French company, and there is like common statements that French people don't like speak English in general. And actually, when we tried to contact to French companies, there was like one of the biggest challenges was communication, because we speak English, maybe not really good, but we have this common language with other countries. And with French companies, when we talk to business owners, they say that, okay, we can speak, but our employees rather cannot speak really good English, or they don't want to speak English, so that could be a problem. And we have all the specification in French, and translation could lead to some problems. How do you handle these communication issues? Because you have teams in Ukraine and you have management in France. How is about English?
Well, just contact us. All is in English, so if you search for a French company who is speaking English, then that's good. No issue. For real, no issue.
There is
Everyone in Skilled is speaking English. Not really all of us are speaking good English, but it's in our skill stack. So being able to speak in English and translate it to French sometimes for the French companies who are not willing to speak English, but well.
All Skilled PM speaks English, like Kiêt just said. And in terms of detailed communication, there is sometimes misunderstandings with the teams, but we do our best to create a confidence ambience that all the team can ping us as long as they don't understand or something. And from the business side, as you said, nearly all our clients are French speaker only. Not a lot of them are willing to work in English. And it's our role as PM to be the interface between the client and their needs, and to translate it to the team through the specifications.
Do you have specification in both English and French?
Only
No,
in English.
no, only in English.
Only in English, yeah. Because we've got on the American part only the Latino Americans in our team, so they speak Spanish, not Russian. So.
But anyway, for all the Skilled members worldwide, no one has English as native language.
I just realized I forgot this slide. So just for saying that we'll publish this on SlideShare. So if you want after the camp to get your hands on the slides, you can. Skilled SlideShare. And I talked about my last year conference, and that would be also on our SlideShare. So I saw there was a question. Yeah, okay. We still got 10 minutes, so feel free. So, thank you. So I guess everything else is clear. Thank you.